This is the state of the nation. Irifa Uganda. We are deliberate, we are reasonable, we are uncensored. The state of the nation with Henry Ssali.
All right, guys. How are you doing? My name is Henry Ssali, and this is the state of the nation. I know some of you are not receiving us yet because we might have started a minute or two late. So, right now, if you want to see us, you're probably just on YouTube. Facebook has not given us the go live because we were 2 minutes late. But I hope you're able to catch us on YouTube and enjoy this conversation. Again, my name is Henry Ssali, and this is the state of the nation. Before we start, as always, we wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto African Alumni Association operates for thousands of years. It has been the traditional land for the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit River. Today, this meeting place is still home to many indigenous people from across the Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have this conversation, to work on this land. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Henry Ssali, as always. Of course, for those of you who have been following this conversation, there are so many things happening in the motherland, Uganda. A lot of you have been watching what was going on. We have had some sort of action, industrial action by the doctors in Uganda, most of whom are interns, so which means they are doctors in residence. All right, so why don't I invite my colleagues to join me? Mr. Martin Byakuleka, most of you already know him, as well as Dr. Joel Mirembe. Mr. Martin Byakuleka, nice to see you. Your folks might be watching us, but only on YouTube. They're not going to be able to watch us on Facebook because I started the show 2 minutes later than what I scheduled it to start. In that case, it was not allowed to go live, even when I tried to edit the times. But we are live on YouTube. So people can actually watch us on YouTube if they have a link. All right. Richard Martin Byakuleka, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us why you are excited to be here? It's been a while since we last chatted. Nice to see you again. I can see you are still going strong and educating the nation. People are excited to have you here today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. Once again, my name is Martin Byakuleka. I've been in this thing for quite a while, but even your child there is very happy to hear from us.
I know. I'm actually visiting, so but
we've been
excited to be here.
We've been in this thing for quite a while. I am a teacher. I teach international relations and management at the university near me here. And I am a former diplomat of the government of Uganda. Now, the diplomats are two types. They are those who are appointed by the president.
Right.
Those are called political appointees. They go abroad and serve Uganda, and they are diplomats too. But I did not belong to that class. I belonged to the professional class. Those are people who went to school to study diplomacy. So I went to school to study diplomacy and international relations, and that is why I went to work in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So in technical terms, I was known as a Foreign Service Officer. So Mr. Museveni did not appoint me as a person. He found me there. I was a professional, and that's how it is. So, but now I resigned that responsibility, and as I've told you, I'm doing other things. And it's a pleasure to be here as a member of the diaspora, where I'm also president of CLOUD, Common League of Ugandans in the Diaspora. Nice to be here.
All right, all right. Such an extensive introduction. For those of you who are wondering, why do we call this guy the international senior political analyst? You have got the gist. And I assure you, wait for what is coming. Wait for what is coming to you. Dr. Joel Mirembe, pleasure having you here again. Questions have been coming in regarding the industrial action. I know you have been right and center with the industrial action, even though you're not an intern. But as a senior comrade within the medical fraternity, there is a lot you have been doing on the ground. Welcome back to the State of the Nation. Tell us what is going on in your life. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Henry. It's a pleasure to be on this platform, but in a special way, it's also a pleasure to share a platform with Comrade Martin Byakuleka, a man I've seen for the last 1 or at least 2 years when I was very active in activism of bringing change that we all deserve as a generation. So greetings to him before I greet our viewers and listeners, for those who have just actually probably tuned in and they are not watching, but they are listening to the voices. So my name is Mirembe Joel. I'm a medical doctor from Bara University of Science and Technology. I'm a Ugandan by indigenous kind of origin. All my great-great-grandmothers, grandfathers are Ugandan, and I'm a concerned Ugandan at that. I don't know how to introduce myself, what people are interested in, but I'll labor in 1 minute. I'm a former MP aspirant for Member of Parliament, Uganda. I am a leader at the Uganda Medical Association, and currently I'm the secretary for the Central Uganda branch of the association. Uganda Medical Association is just the national organization for all doctors in this country. I'm a former president of Federation for Uganda Medical Interns, and actually I'm the first president.
Right.
It's me who actually, during my time, it's me who started that platform. It's a registered organization with the Uganda Registration Bureau Statistics Registration Bureau, and it is formally representing the interns. It is actually the one which has taken the lead of what actually Henry has just mentioned, the industrial action. They declared the industrial action on 6th, and up to now it is still on till the leadership comes up to tell us otherwise. They have achieved something. So I am a humanitarian as well. I founded a small non-profit organization called the Party Committee Uganda. In brief, it is called TEC. And basically what we focus in is to empower young people and women to have skills that make them survive without being beggars, without looking at anyone but themselves. So what we basically give them is skill them probably making crafts, then teach them financial literacy and many other things. We are looking out for several grants to see some. We teach them maybe tailoring. Then we want to make sure that we empower farmers. We look for markets because several of the farmers are farming in villages, but they don't have tomato farmers are making losses because they don't have where to sell their tomatoes and many other things. So the organization is called the Empowered Community Uganda because our vision is we want self-sustaining homesteads and self-sustaining communities. Our belief is that we cannot be self-sustaining unless, one, we are financially upright, two, our leadership is clear. So we have a department that is up to developing leadership. And in our plans, we have crafted a plan. We want to build a leadership academy for young people in particular. That every year we want at least to be releasing 50 leaders who we have trained, and we want them probably to stand for positions in the professional associations at political level, LC1, LC what, we want organized, trained leaders to take leadership in this country. So that is a non-profit organization with very many arms, 3 arms in particular: leadership development, skilling the people, and then health. We know in the tech we believe that a population which is not healthy is not productive. It's a liability to the economy, it's a liability to the country and society. So we want to promote preventive health care across the country. So that is the humanitarian part of me. I'm a doctor, like I said, and I'm practicing my private practice. I treat people under my project. It is called Itamsao Mobile Doctors. For you who are in the diasporas, we have packages. Our doctors move to your home and see the patient from home. Until when we see maybe you need to be taken to hospital, we have hospitals we partner with that we can also see you from those hospitals and treat you, admit you there. So it's a lot that Henry Moore probably would have to invite me for another program where we need to focus on how those services can be delivered to our people, how people in the diaspora and the entire Uganda can come and join and work with us. So for today, I want to stop at that. Thank you very much, Henry, for allowing me the time.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. I was muted for a minute there. Our friend, Mr. Martin Byakuleka, has temporarily dropped off, but he will be joining us shortly. He will be joining us shortly. A lot of stuff that you have mentioned there, Dr. Mirembe, regarding your resume. Your resume is stellar. Of course, that doesn't come with easy job, an easy job. Of course, you're very hardworking, and many people have a lot of faith in you as the new or incoming leaders that are going to shape how our nation is governed. Dr. Mirembe, I'm going to come back to you before I go back to Mr. Byakuleka. Last time we had a conversation here regarding the medical or the medical interns or the doctors' action, industrial action. On that show, you said that a broke doctor or a poor doctor is more dangerous than I'm paraphrasing here, but you say that a broke doctor is more dangerous than probably anything that people might deem dangerous.
A broke poor doctor is more dangerous to your life. You get? So being seen by a frustrated, broke, unfocusing doctor is dangerous. It is real. Right. That's why we decided to sort this so that people can settle and treat us when their hearts are settled, when they are not thinking about rent bills and other things.
Tell us more about that. You say that you are doctors. To become a doctor, you have to think about the ethics of treating people, which means treating people should be your first priority, and not striking for more pay. There have been questions posed toward me and asking me that I was telling me that I was not tough enough on you guys last time you came here with the other doctor, friend of yours. I was not tough enough to even ask you why you chose to abandon government entities or government hospitals but remained working in private hospitals. People tend to think that doctors are as corrupt as the politicians in Uganda, and I want you to either dismiss that or qualify it. I don't know what you are going to do. They say that when they come to hospitals, government hospitals, to see you, some doctors, not particularly yourself, but some doctors tend to pretend not to have what is required, utensils to use, stuff to use, or even medication. But they do have business cards for their private entities, and they tend to tell people that I'm really busy here. I won't be able to see you for more than 10 minutes or maybe 15 minutes. But if you want to to learn more about your situation, find me at this location, and then you have enough time to discuss your illness. Is this true? Are doctors in Kampala or in Uganda as corrupt as some politicians? And was the industrial action justified?
Thank you very much, Henry, for that insight. And actually, I want to appreciate whoever the viewers who have raised such a very pertinent issue. But before I start actually to break it down, I want to put this clear that one, the doctors are normal human beings who have just a difference, is that they go to school, do the sciences, take the risk of saving lives while their own life is at a risk. Like I've said before on this very platform, that every day I go to work, I have a risk to contract HIV, I have a risk to contract hepatitis, and so many other diseases. I have, like I said before, frontline doctors, hundreds, tens of them have contracted COVID while at work. And we have consultants who have died because they have contracted COVID while at work. This is a kind of job where you come to work. Like, for example, today, assuming this show was a TV and Henry Ssali is paid to have it. But for you, you have come to work and you have a risk to go home with a disease. You can shed it to your family and you can lose your life. But that does not exonerate doctors, and that does not give them leeway to do anything immoral, anything illegal. So going forward, you have put the scenario of a doctor, a client X coming in government hospital X, and is not able to access the services that actually they need or they deserve. But Dr. Health Worker X has told them the other facility X, which is not a government facility, has the kind of service that you want. That is happening. Yes, that is happening. I want to repeat. But let us look at the scenarios, the events, the processes that are leading to that to happen. I want to state this. Uganda as a country, 20 years ago, pledged to invest 15% of its national budget into health care. It has not at any one time invested even 8% of its budget into health care. So what happens? 18% only of the national budget is funded by the local taxpayers' money. It's funded by government of Uganda. Over 40% by the United States, the UK, the donor fund. And the other percentage, around 42, in fact 40, by out of pocket. That's what you're talking about. You go to a private provider of healthcare, you pay. You come to a government facility, there are always private wings in government facilities. You go to the private wing and pay. You come to the public, yes, I will use that maybe. That's what can come out. The public wing of the government hospital, where you're not probably supposed to pay, but the drugs are not there. So they write for a list, Uganda buy. In a private pharmacy, for example, recently, every regional referral, every national referral has private investors inside those government hospitals. They have their pharmacies. In Mulago National Referral, there is First Pharmacy, there is Eco Pharmacy. They are there in Chirudu, they are there in Kawempe, they are there in Imbarara, and all other government hospitals. So one, government has put environment to allow those few non-cultured individuals. Remember, I started by saying these are human beings.
Right.
And some of them can have vices, right? But majority of these practices are actually fueled, facilitated by government processes. One, government has not provided the drugs. Government ultrasound scans are not working. So what will happen? The doctors are human. They are going to send you to private facilities. Some of these are theirs because doctors have not, there is no law that bars doctors from doing business. And private healthcare is a business where people pay rent, buy machines, pay doctors to work there, pay nurses, pay cleaners, pay water, pay electricity bills. The machines and everything used there, government taxes it a lot. You get? So that makes even the services in private care very expensive. You get?
Right.
So now, let Ugandans look at the root cause of the issue. The root cause of the issue is government has given space for corruption to take place. People up there, budgets are appropriated for drugs. The drugs never reach hospitals. You get? Some drugs which reach are further diverted to other channels. But then this is what happens. The common doctor who wakes up and boards the border to come to treat you at hospital is being castigated for writing chits for you to go and buy drugs, is being castigated for drugs not being available, for telling you to go to Case Medical because where we are, the doctor is incapacitated to support, to help you to heal from the ailment, the disease that you're suffering from. So Ugandans, we need, the biggest problem, we have a leadership question in this country. The leadership question is in as well in the state institutions. All sectors have a leadership question, and that goes back to accountability. Are Ugandans able to effectively ask the accountability questions effectively in healthcare? That's where we have to start from. When they ask the questions, does anyone care anyway to respond to them the right way? Or we just shout and it ends at noise. So until the leadership question of this country at all levels, from LC1, from families, is sorted, we are going to continue to have more of the same. Is the strike justifiable? I must say, the strike delayed. It delayed. And
have
it is
come sooner.
unfortunate. It is unfortunate. The strike is having doctors alone. It would have been having the laboratory guys. It would have been having the nurses, the cleaners of these hospitals, and everyone in these hospitals. But because going back to the leadership question
Crisis, yeah.
of this country, that when the doctors were setting off, the leaders probably were not visionary enough to actually make sure that we have a holistic team demanding for all these issues. Of course, by default, doctors are the leaders of the health sector. Wherever a doctor is deployed, he will be given a nurse, he will be given a pharmacist, he will be given a cleaner, he will be given all the other cadres, a radiographer to do the scans and all other things. You get?
Right.
So, of course, we are partly responsible in the health sector to have the mess. But you see, our colleagues who are at the helm of the health sector, Jen Ruth Acheng is there, Mwebesa Henry is there, Diana Twin is there, and others. But have they solved the situation? The question is, people are given responsibilities with the clear
expectations.
Not just expectation of course.
Mandate.
Terms, yes, mandate and terms of reference.
Right.
But look, they choose to serve interests that keep them in offices, not because of being credible and being productive and giving results, but because of doing certain things, political interests. So as long as we don't separate the state from the government of politics, we are going to continue in more of the same. That will take a breed of leaders who will know that the people of this country deserve better, that the taxpayer deserves some degree of respect.
Right.
So today, I want to just not talk as a doctor. I want to talk as a concerned Ugandan, not even as a politician, but as a Ugandan. Let me tell you, Henry, my mother down there in Bukunge village, Maokota, where I come from, deserves better health care, because the money I make is not enough for me to pay her bills. I pay bills for my wife, I pay bills for my children, I pay bills for several other people who I take care of. This government, I pay taxes, Henry. I must tell you that every month I pay taxes of between 1.5 million to 2 million. You get?
Right.
That tax deserves to be spent the right way. So the health care question is, Uganda must get up and make leaders accountable.
Ugandans.
Until that is done, tetulina kyetwegamba nga bannayuganda.
Mr. Martin Byakuleka, you have heard the context and the justification for the industrial action by the medical doctors in Uganda. Of course, he has tried to exonerate some of the doctors who may, in one way or another, redirect clients or patients from public entities or government entities to private entities where apparently some of the utensils or the items for use, for medical use, can be easily found. He also, in his submission,
you may have to increase your studio volume.
Oh yeah, increase my studio volume. Do you hear me better now? Is this better?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Okay, I hear you, but I don't know why my end is a bit low.
Is it low? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why it's low. But do you get the gist? Mr. Dr. Mirembe has painted a very clear picture of the situation, the healthcare situation in Uganda. He tells us what happens at the forefront of medical care, at the front lines of medical care. In certain situations, doctors tend to actually redirect the clients or the patients to their private entities where they have bought items for medical use that might be missing in government entities. He has also indicted some of the leaders within that realm, including Rutha Chen, Dr. Rutha Chen, who is in the Ministry of Health, and how they probably are serving their interests or political interests as opposed to their mandate or following their terms of references as doctors. What do you say to Mr. or to Dr. Mirembe?
Yeah, I should hasten to say that
Rutha Chen.
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank my colleague, Dr. Mirembe, for painting a very vivid picture of the state of healthcare in Uganda. It is really despicable that doctors who perform a key service to Uganda should be mistreated by their own government. But again, everybody in Uganda is aware that this government, the government in power led by Mr. Museveni, is not interested in the people it leads. This government, this regime, captured the state of Uganda for its own private interests, not for public interest. And that motive, which I've just explained, must be underlined by every Ugandan who wants to see this government out of power. This is not our government. This is not the government of Ugandans. This is the government of the people that captured the state of Uganda. Even during the elections, let's leave 1986 alone, because that is when they captured the state. But even in the subsequent elections, they continued to make tricks so that they remain in power. They have not remained in power because Ugandans want them. No. They are there by force. They are there to satisfy their own individual interests. That is why we are holding these forums here and everywhere. We are saying the time to get these people away from our state, reclaim it so that it can serve us directly, is now. Because these are very dangerous individuals. And the best way to measure and evaluate their dangerousness is the health state, the state of health in Uganda. How can a government build a hospital and fail to equip it? And again, sometimes this goes to another character of the state or the people who are leading that country. Some of us have been saying elsewhere that these people, we have called them Abalaro. Now, right. Abalaro is not a bad thing. Abalaro is not ethnic, some of our friends. Abalaro is a group of pastoralists. They take cows from one place to another, looking for pastures and water. And we have seen them. Their needs, the needs of this group, are very small, very, very bare. Their way of life is very simple. But as we see them moving their cattle from one part of Uganda to another, we notice something about them. And this is not a bad thing. It's an observation. They are a backward lot. The Balaro of Uganda are a backward lot. Even the idea of moving the cattle itself is backward. We don't do those things any longer, but they still do them up to now. Unfortunately, the majority of people leading our country are affiliated to these Balaru, and they still do the things like their relatives do them. Now, if you bring the Balaru approach in government, which as I've characterized it as backward, this is what you're going to have. Because for a Mularo, a building of a hospital is a great thing. I built the hospital. It's a building. It's just a building. When he shows that to people, he thinks everybody is going to say he's a great guy. But in effect, and in tandem with the backwardness of pastoralism, the building has nothing in it. Dr. Mirembe has told you, you go in the public section of the hospital, and there's literally nothing, apart from beds maybe, and a mifariso. There's no medicine, there's nothing. Now, you're endangering the patient, you're also endangering the doctor. These people have no interest in the lives of Ugandans, apart from their own lives. This is the most important point that everybody should note. So, why do you have a government at the helm which is not interested in you?
Right.
It is therefore imperative. It is incumbent upon Ugandans that they throw out this kind of decadence. They throw out this group of people who are totally useless to Ugandans. Now, this issue of healthcare and the treatment of doctors, it has a historical perspective. In fact, in I think it was 1980 something, or yeah, Mr. Museveni, when he came to power, and his cadres, they showed a great deal of suspicion against Ugandan health workers. They said that these health workers are not politically conscious.
Right.
They disliked them a lot. In fact, when Museveni's daughter was going to give birth, and she was airlifted to Germany, and there was a public raucous, Mr. Museveni came forward and said that the reason why he took his daughter to give birth in Germany was because he could not trust the Ugandan health workers because they were politically unconscious. They still dealt with the enemy. They could injure the revolution by injuring him or his relative. So, unfortunately, this hatred has been sustained until today. Why, if in 1989 you hated those guys, why are you hating them now? This hatred is unjustified.
Right.
So, we have seen this. It has played out before. It is still playing out now. But at the heart of it is because the president and his inner circle are not committed to the health of Ugandans. And I'll bring out another point. Mr. Museveni, for those who know him, is a gentleman who likes to be the foundation of life. Everybody's life, everybody's well-being should depend on him. This is a personality disorder. He wants to be in charge of everything. He wants you to beg him for your life. So, if you have good health in the country, you will not beg him. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So you have to have bad health in order to continue going to him and asking him for favor.
Exactly. So he
But
wants
what do you say? But what do you say about the leaders, Dr. Atwine, Mr. Henry Mwebesa, Dr. Jane Ruther Cheng, all these, at least for Dr. Cheng and Diana Atwine, these are medical doctors. They should understand the predicament their colleagues are in right now. They are in charge of the Ministry of Health. Why can't they facilitate government entities to ensure that they are very well stocked, but also that the doctors who work within these entities are well facilitated and comfortable to perform their duties?
You see, I have read several political philosophies, but the socialist communist political theory postulates that when the leaders of the communists, or it postulates that an advanced form which is called imperialism, it postulates that when the imperialist is going to take over a foreign territory, the imperialist must make an alliance with people who are called compradors. The compradors are professionals who sell their souls in order to work with the invader to facilitate the invasion. Dr. Atwine, Dr. Acheng, and those other, that group,
Dr.
are
Mwebesa,
compradors who are facilitating Mr. Museveni to take over Uganda and work for his interests and perpetuate his intentions. So that group is very deadly. Indeed, that group is very, very deadly, because if it were not there, Museveni would not succeed in his intention of underdeveloping health so that he can remain the alpha and omega of health to all Ugandans, so that they can beg him to stay alive. Now, why are Ugandans begging Museveni to stay alive? Because of the facilitation by Acheng, Atwine, and others.
Mwebesa.
That is why when authority changes and another government comes in power, it is very important that that group is totally obliterated. That is a group which does not even deserve to be in Chitalia. No. It deserves to be hanged immediately, because that is the major group against Uganda.
There's a lot that you have talked about in your submission. Of course, all these conversations, they're ideas. We interrogate all ideas. The platform does not necessarily completely represent all the ideas shared here. Dr. Mirembe, your thoughts regarding Mr. Byakuleka's ideas, and specifically how the leadership crisis has affected how the healthcare operates in Uganda. Do you want to respond to Mr. Byakuleka?
Yeah, thank you very much, Henry. I respect and appreciate the submission from a senior citizen, Martin Byakuleka, and a lot of what he has said is true. You realize that at some point, some people thought when doctors are in charge of Ministry of Health, things will change. But I want to let you know that is an important step. And of course, indeed, a country blessed with the technocrats like us in Uganda, doctors should be in charge of Ministry of Health. Teachers should be in charge of education. Engineers should be in charge of the minerals and the roads and all other things, national housing and the like. Of course, we see A doctor who has never studied anything in ICT is the one heading the Ministry of ICT and other things. But that is a story for another day. What I wanted to communicate is this. When I was president of Medical Interns, that is for me, I was president first, then I and the team wrote a constitution, registered for me, and it became the official organization and platform for Medical Interns. I had a chance for a direct communication with Mr. Called him Genome 7. And that was in a meeting where several stakeholders were present. Leadership of doctors from all fronts. And I was the first person to address him on these issues, actually, of welfare, which we are sorting now. And that was 2018. But the touching story that I remember, amongst all other presentations, was one by the one Dr. Baterana Vyarugaba, the director of Mulago National Referral Hospital. I was then working as an intern doctor in Mulago National Referral Hospital. I want to let you know, the man lied 99% of his submission before the president. Yet this was a meeting for Mr. Museveni actually to listen to the real issues of the health care. You get?
Yeah.
But the man presented, Mulago was painted like it's a hospital X in the US where the top politicians, top leaders of this country spend our money when they are going for the top-notch surgeries, treatment, high class. Mulago had everything. Mulago had never lacked drugs. Mulago had never lacked diagnostics like simple CBC, malaria diagnostics, simple, but whatever I was saying was the opposite. Mulago had never lacked doctors, yet they are not there. They are not enough, those who are there. Right. Mulago had never lacked nurses. It had never lacked a thing. You get? It had enough budget. It was renovated and completed. Yet this is a hospital which has spent over 36 billion. Money over 3 times what built it on renovation. Up to now, it has never been finished to be renovated. They just get the money, eat it, request for more, eat it. You get? So that's why I said the issue is a leadership crisis. A country where dishonest, immoral adults are in offices, not to serve Ugandans, but to fulfill their stomachs. They have officially changed the motto of this country from "For God and my country" to "For God and my stomach, my family, my tribesman."
Right.
The most painful part is that as they fill their stomachs, and a few of their tribesmen, several of their tribesmen are suffering as well, because they satisfy their families around them. So what I'm trying to say is very simple, and it is very important. Ugandans in the diaspora have done their part. Politicians here, those who call themselves an opposition, many of them are not doing their part. They are just doing stunts of PR. Ugandans have gotten to wake up, examine these people, and we do things by ourselves. We get ourselves the right leaders in space to serve us. We need servant leaders. Several of the leaders currently in the current government have told us publicly that they are not our servants. They have their personal ambitions that they are going to fulfill. And the Ugandans are there saying, Barete Dagala, Wapi. Henry, let me tell you, according to the national, you see, Uganda is a country with very good paperwork. Very good. High-notch paperwork. policies, very good policies, very good laws, but they are never implemented. For example, National Development Plan says every constituency in this country is supposed to have a health center for. Currently, that's where a doctor is supposed to be, at least 3 doctors are supposed to be at a health center for. But to me, I come from Byakuleka South. I've never seen a health center for there. I am a doctor. This government has refused to empower me to go and serve my people in Byakuleka. I would on any day want to go and provide services as a doctor in Byakuleka South. You get? That's where I come from. Those are the people whose mangoes I ate. Those are the people who educated me. I would want to go back. But when I go back, where am I going to work? There is no facility that is government owned where I can put my services. When I lobby and set up my center, my people are too poor to afford the health care. You get? I want to give services. And in that hospital, all health center will collapse. In just, which will collapse. Because everyone will say, for you a humanitarian, they will want free services. But if this government empowered me to set up the hospital, to go there and work and give them the service, fight the corruption that you have just talked about when you are introducing the program. Because I'm a social justice activist, health equity activist. I don't like corruption. It is something that has eaten up everything that any Ugandan have. So, as we continue to discuss, the leadership question must be answered. That will sort corruption. When the corruption is sorted, education will flourish, agriculture will flourish, healthcare will flourish, the economy will flourish, and we shall all say we are proud Ugandans. Currently, when someone said that there is leader X in this government who wants to be controlling everyone and every life of everyone, those are the syndromes that we need to do away with. We need to do away with those syndromes. We need to start syndromes of true nationalism. Nationalism should not be taught. People should see leaders doing the right thing and they love them and they love their country. But where we are, people are even having a budget to teach people how to love their country. How are we going to love this country? When we go to government institutions, we have to pay to get jobs. Let me tell you, Henry, currently, I am a doctor. In Impiji, they advertised positions of being a doctor in one of the hospitals, which is very distant, which is not in my constituency anyway. But my friend, to get the job, I made my investigations and I was told I have to cough over 10 million. I said, I'm Mitade. I'm going to serve people. I have to cough money. So I have to pay to get a job to serve my people. These are things, almost a few people get jobs when they have not paid. Which country is this? Which country is this? You get COVID jobs, several people paid money to get the jobs. Which country is this?
It's a good question. That's a very good question. Which country is this? Of course, the right and center is the notion of a leadership crisis in Uganda. If we do have a leadership crisis in healthcare, I'm going to assume that we do have a leadership crisis in the education sector. And of course, all these happen because of the crumbling political system in Uganda. But how can we rectify the issue of a leadership crisis in Uganda when even the people we do have as our leaders, even in opposition, seem to not understand this? For example, I'm going to play a simple clip from Mr. Romushana, who was indicting the opposition for having kept quiet regarding a management bill that was recently passed without them making any kind of noise that could have informed Ugandans of what was happening.
Before you play the video,
Right.
I want to just put this clear. This government has always accused health workers that some people are not working. The question is, who is supposed to supervise those who are not working? And people pay to supervise them. Probably the supervisors first are not working.
Right.
And when the people they supervise also don't work sometimes. But let us look. Only 40% of the doctors who are supposed to be in government hospitals, posts are filled. 60% vacancies are empty. You get?
Right.
Recently, Uganda Medical Association made a survey. 60% this government, and it's one of the reasons why doctors went on strike. The other reason was people who have been given those jobs have gone back to school. They have done their books. They have not been promoted. They have been, you know, when you are in P1, you should be treated like you're in P1. When you're in P7, there are certain things you are expected of. You get? So if this government has 60% of vacancies empty for doctors in public facilities, then it accuses those who are there for not working. The issue is people work one day, two, day three. They are too tired to work the fourth day. They're going to make mistakes. They leave for the good of the patient still. Because if I make a mistake, you will die. I better not be there. I better not be the criminal of that mistake. But also, you journalists and several people have said, you signed an oath to save lives. My friend, I want to make this clear. The missionaries were here in Uganda decades ago. They pretended to be giving free services, yet they took away our sovereignty. They took away our goods, our resources. They took away our independence, which we are still struggling to get back. Right. So it was not free. Free things are very dangerous. So no one should expect that doctors are going to work for free. Okay?
Right.
That is very clear. These are people who studied under very hard circumstances. Their parents paid money, a lot of it. You get? So then the other issue, Henry.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes.
The issue is the oath that we sign that people use has a section that says, may you enjoy
the
your
fruits
life
of your hand. Yeah.
Yes, the fruits of this work. How do I enjoy when I'm sleeping in Katanga, for those who know Katanga? How do I enjoy that when now I'm called, if I was working in a government facility, I'm called? You get? I have to board a border. In private, they pick you with an ambulance. They pick you with a car. Here in the government, body, sewa guda kuchima kuboda boda na wewa kubaka taima mwena. Sewa guda mzasula kusentezi zo, siza government. You get?
Right.
So why should the government accuse people who have persevered up to this extent? The issue is a leadership issue. And the government has told, you see, in Uganda we have a proverb that says, Eyewezo mumba gwazikuba.
Gwazikuba. Yes,
okay?
Sir. Yeah.
Eyewezo mumba gwazikuba. Ne Bible yegamba, to whom much was given.
Much is expected.
Much is expected. Omuntu, bannayuganda bamu bagamba gavumenti eno tebagironda. Yo bagamba yeteeka mu buyinza. Kati baba beteeka mu buyinza. For us, we are going to ask for services because tulabamu before byaffe. Okay? Tulabamu government. So we are asking for the services from them.
Right. Right. Those are very interesting insights. I think I'm going to give Mr. Byakuleka an opportunity to respond before I play that clip that is going to transition us into the political dilemma that is happening in Uganda and to interrogate whether we should continue engaging in any sort of elective politics in Uganda. But first, I want to appreciate now to go with it. Nantongo Stella, thank you so much for your submissions. Comments, and she has written a lot about what's going on. I think she's I'm not sure if she's a nurse or a doctor herself, but she asked earlier on, but why do doctors accept to work in bad conditions for years in silence? I think she was responding to my question regarding the industrial action and whether it's justified. But doctors, I think earlier on you said that the industrial action actually came in late. It should have come earlier. And she was asking, why do you accept work in bad conditions?
That is very true, Henry.
In silence.
You see, I feel her concern. Yeah. But doctors, by our training, we are some sort of humanitarian individuals who treasure life. Every life saved is our smile.
Right.
And that's why on several occasions since 2011, doctors have only been threatening, have only been writing to government. That what we say to government chimala omusawa aitidde okujogebwa.
Right.
Omusawa aitidde okujogebwa. Omusolo gugenda nnyo eri abantu forakizale kukudigidamu kunywamu. Olaba sekandi ayira motoka mwenge. Abasawo abanywa ku twenge tebakyalina zigula twenge. Okitegeera? Oli ayira ki? Motoka mwenge. Okiwulira? So twasazeewo ne tugamba bannange bannayuganda tukwatire wamu tutereeze ebyobulamu kubanga ebyobulamu biruma owa NRM owa NUP owa FDC atali munnabyabufuzi pasita haji byonna bitukwatira waki wamu. Fene tuva naffe tugamba nedde ekimala kikola ki kimala tukwatire wamu tuyiteeke gavumenti eno mu kafunda ebeeko kyekola ku byobulamu. Ebyeko kyekola ku kintu ekigatta ekiyamba buli muntu. Okiwulira? Gavumenti eno bw'oba toginyigiriza ssebo tekola nsonga. Kati recently baavudde ne bagamba kati tugenda kusasula ba intern doctors sente ze twabasuubiza. Naye after omanyi weeks mmeka? Weeks 6. Bannayuganda tebalina services. Naye nga tebafaayo. Okiwulira? So let's people tebafaayo eri munnayuganda. Ye munnayuganda bw'anaddeyo n'atuula maama awedde.
Mr. Byakuleka. Yeah.
Yes.
Naffe.
Maliriza, yeah.
Naffe.
Right.
Nange omusawo njaga malizanga abasawo tebasobola kwafeedinga bya buweereza bwe bawa bannayuganda. Kyebimu ke tukusaba gavumenti eno kitegeeza gavumenti eno ke kaseera abeerewo health insurance scheme ng'egenda kuyamba abasawo okwaccessinga ebyobulamu nabo. Okiwulira? Ke kaseera bino biteekebwe mu nkola. Waliwo amawanga nga Botswana ogenda mu ddwaliro oba private oba gavumenti tozasula. Kitegeera? Waliwo national health insurance scheme ennungi. Bagenda ku advertising of recent abasawo abasinga bagenda agende Botswana aba Uganda. Kubanga eri basasula ssente. Atandikirwako asasula obukadde 12. Wano aba Uganda basaba net pay, njogera ku net pay obukadde 12. Wano aba Uganda basaba obukadde 5. Gross pay whereby bajafuna around 3 million. Government kibinyo obawa. Kati bannange lwaki bannayuganda mututegeere bannange. Seffe tulina obuzibu. Be mwalondo ne mubateeka mu ntebe be balina obuzibu. Kulwa Katonda n'ensi yange.
Mwami Byakuleka, how do you start? How do you respond to that?
Man,
specifically,
this program actually, as we appear here,
right?
Dr. Mirembe is the key facilitator because he's the one informing us. We are not doctors.
Yeah.
So he has the edge here. You know, for me, I'm just giving a few political commentaries here and there.
Yeah.
But in the mainframe, I'm actually in class too. I'm just learning, and given what Dr. Mirembe is stipulating here, I'm actually very afraid. And I didn't know that I would be this educated and find out how bad things are, and I'm totally flabbergasted. I can tell you.
Right.
But I should say that.
I love the English.
Thank you. I should say that what
Right.
Dr. Mirembe has just vividly painted once again is an example or a painting of what Uganda is and the kind of leadership crisis that we are experiencing. There can be no better example than this. We are once again seeing a government, leaders in government, working for their own interests and not caring about the interests of those they are leading. Therefore, this is a government in crisis. Because by its nature, a government is supposed to serve the people it leads.
Right.
So if the government is not serving the people it leads, you have a crisis. You have a real crisis that must be addressed sooner than later. So, and you know, there's what I don't like about this government is its misplaced arrogance. Looking at these doctors, when they're asking for what is due to them, something very small, and they tell them, let them go.
Right.
In fact, Mr. Museveni has done this, the historicity of this program. We have seen him saying, let them go. I'll bring other doctors. And one time, I think he brought doctors from Cuba. But this is misplaced arrogance. Your own countrymen are asking you and saying, man, we are in a terrible situation. You mentioned a lady who said, why have these people continued to work in this kind of environment for this long? Why have they allowed to do that? And one must understand, apart from the fact that Dr. Mirembe gave us that doctors are essentially humanitarians who prefer to work than complain. They are people who are actually interested in saving the lives of people under any circumstances. And some of these circumstances are bad pay. But therefore, they continue. The reason why they have continued to work irrespective of these circumstances is because they know their cardinal role is to save people.
Right.
We have a management crisis, a leadership crisis, but what do we do to the sick ones? But there are two other reasons why these guys are in that situation, why they cannot complain when they are suffering. They go to the heart of the mechanisms of work of this government. This government has managed to suppress Ugandans using two methods: intimidation and bribery. When these guys rise up to say anything, they are intimidated. They are shut up.
Yeah.
And this is done using the comprador doctors. He has told you of a meeting where they went to talk to the president about the problems of healthcare in Uganda, and Baterana came up and painted a rosy picture. Who is Baterana? This must be a cadre of the regime.
Right.
This is how they execute their things. For us, some of us, we know these tricks from a long time ago. You go to the meeting, Museveni has already organized that he's going to meet doctors to understand their program. He has planted Baterana to come and speak lies.
Right.
You see, this is how Mr. Museveni is a very dishonest person. He's a very dishonest person. In the meeting, he has planted someone to come and say very nice things, which are actually not true.
Right.
So that afterwards he says, actually, I came for nothing because, as you can hear, everything is okay. So what I take from this meeting is people are really striking for nothing. This is dishonesty. Just like you saw him in Kayunga. After stealing the votes publicly, came in the morning, 5 o'clock, they started ticking all the ballots, put them in the box. People came to vote at 7, the boxes were full. Then they say someone won, and Museveni comes and starts singing the religious songs. And thanking the people for voting. Really. So this man is, this individual who is in charge of the country is very, very dishonest. And because of his dishonesty, we are having all these problems.
What do we do with all these things that are happening? And I'm asking that deliberately because when we remember some of the dynamics that have happened lately, there's a lot that has been going on. Natalie Farida, thank you for the comment. Brittany Norton, thank you for following us. I'm not sure what that means, but yes, thank you so much for following us as well and trying to contribute to this conversation. This is a conversation for all of us, and I think we should all engage in this very important conversation. The crisis is not only in the health sector, the crisis is in the educational sector as well. We remember that this year, Mr. Museveni also opened up a school in Tanzania where students are going to school, but students in Uganda are not attending school, and they do not have such a school that he built in Tanzania that was named right after him, of course. Mr. Romushana tries to indict the opposition members in how business is done in parliament, and he's saying that they are not being honest themselves. So if you're talking about a leadership crisis, I think we are going to have to interrogate all the players within the spectrum, the political spectrum of Uganda, including the opposition members. But before we do that, let us listen to what Mr. Romushana is trying to paint here and try to dissect if it's right or wrong, and if it's right, how do we deal with such events happening in our country? I don't know. Do you see anything? No?
Not yet.
Okay.
Some black stuff.
It's a black screen. Eh? It's a black screen. Okay, I don't know why it's not working yet, but I'm going
but again, as you look for that, I would like to tell you, as you look for that video,
right.
I think Romushana is getting the context quite wrongly,
right?
Because the context is you have a domestic constituency. The whole of Uganda is a domestic constituency,
right?
Which is being controlled by Museveni. The whole domestic constituency is suffocated and subjugated by Mr. Museveni.
Right.
Whatever happens by the actors within that constitution,
right,
must be to the extent that Museveni allows them.
Yeah.
If he doesn't allow them, they can't do anything.
But I think that's exactly what he's trying to tell us.
Yeah. Once they exceed what he has allowed them, he clamps down on them. Museveni allows you to act in accordance to his interest.
Right.
For example, he wants the foreign partners to know that there is democracy in Uganda. People are campaigning. So Nyanzi will come, Ruvongoya will come, they will campaign. Then he says, Temuchi Susa. Because he doesn't want you to win. He wants you to show the world that there is democracy. The constitution is what? Campaigning. Now, if you say, Honorable Kyagulanyi come and campaign, he says, Muzijeko lugezigezi. Eyo gundi sije nabagambye. That's not the level. Chiri chimala. Ekya Kyagulanyi sikyagala. That I don't like. You get it? So
yeah,
you
but
only
I think
to the
I think
extent that
Romshana's
it allows you.
right. Yeah, but that's exactly I think Romshana's premise for his argument, and he's saying that we have people in the leadership, opposition leadership, who think that who still believe in the elective politics in Uganda, who think that elections do work, and they think that mobilizing people and getting them to the to the polls will win them power. But they do not want to acknowledge that that is not that's the case unless Museveni actually wants it to happen. And this is what he says. I think you should listen to him and then make a better assessment of what he's saying.
If Mr. Museveni wanted to have Kayunga, he would have it. Because you see, your assumption is that we're a democracy. We are not. Actually, I'm against that pretense of letting them have it. Because you say, no, they lost to Uganda. Museveni losing Uganda. If he didn't want to lose it, he wouldn't lose it. I know what we go through in Western Uganda. More especially grounds where is deeply interested. It's terrible. So if they decide to do it their way, they will do it. But because you are one of them, this Chagulanyi gang, they are one with Museveni, he craves for their legitimacy and will therefore give them some ground and they share. You see, you had introduced a very, very important topic here, but we didn't discuss it deeply. The amendment of the
public finance management, which is now an act.
Yes, yes, they are passed.
Yes,
and it related to the oil and gas law.
Yes,
because they amended the two. Now I have it on good authority. The whole of the Chagulanyi gang was bribed, given the money, not to make it controversial, to make the debate controversial.
I beg your pardon?
Yes.
Are you saying the National Unity Platform was bribed?
Absolutely.
Not to cause any controversy
Yes.
with the passing of this bill?
Yes.
Which is now
That's
a law.
why it has passed calmly. It's not been brought into the realm of public debate. Even when they had capacity to raise hell, because they have the numbers to stand and force counting in the lobby, the media would have picked it from that stage. But they did not. Why? Because they ate. Unless I have a win. Now, this Kayunga case of Jishama LC5 is secondary. The other one is critical.
All right. How do you respond to that?
That is correct. And that's what I was explaining about the domestic political constituents that is subjugated and controlled. Within that constituents, you can never do anything against Museveni. You see, in your house, you have children, you have your wife, you have other people. When they are in your house, they do as you wish.
Right.
They cannot do as they wish. Because if they you can throw them out. You understand what I'm saying? So there can be no hope for redemption from the internal political constituency, because that constituency is constipated. The main hope is outside that constituency. The external constituency is the one which has hope for change. However, as things always are, waberawo emiwatwa emitonotono, some pockets,
Right.
where you say we have our activists internally there. They have no voice, but they can act if there is something to be done.
Right.
And have them, and they know themselves, those who work with the external environment. But in terms of hope, that external internal environment, that one is totally subjugated. Nothing can happen. If it is not intimidated, it is bribed. That's what Romushana is talking about.
Yeah.
If it's not intimidated, it's bribed. There are two ways which Museveni uses to control the internal political constituents: intimidation and bribery. And we see them in action. So I will expect your next question, and I will not jump the queue, but I know you are going to say, what do we do?
Well, before we go to what do we do, and I'm going to give Dr. Mirembe an opportunity to respond to your submission, to Romshana's submission there. If people elect you to be an opposition, someone is supposed to look critically on the bills that are being discussed and often passed. Why would you take a bribe to keep quiet when you are a legislator? So before we think about how do we respond to this, how we need to interrogate the behavior of our political activists. This is the reason why Dr. Mirembe was talking a lot about the leadership crisis in the country. It is not just in the healthcare system, it is everywhere. It is even in the opposition. So how do we respond to their behavior before we think about what to do next? Dr. Mirembe.
Henry, you see, it's a laughable, very sad story.
Right.
I'll give you, I'm not going out speak like a doctor. I'm going to speak like a concerned Ugandan. I'm also going to speak in another lane of someone who has been active in this political journey. I joined the activism under People Power with only one thing in my mind. I wanted to see new leadership in this country. I wanted to see leaders, not rulers, in the offices of government. At the start, I was at the crossroad. I looked at the political platforms available. All of them are, I could not understand them because I saw certain things they were doing I didn't believe in. God was on my side, People Power came. It was uniting. It was a platform for everyone who feels oppressed, who feels that something is not right, that needs to be done right. It was for everyone who did not get drugs in government hospitals, who did not get those scholarships. It was for everyone who was not happy with the traffic jam, with these very funny narrow roads, someone who was not happy with the excessive, very high fuel prices. So I was comfortable in that formation. We did what we did, which I'm not going to recap. But at some point, I met almost everyone around. I got an opportunity to hear, sometimes to work with, sometimes to just observe senior politicians do things, right things, some of them very wrong things, very disgusting. I'm talking about politicians in opposition. When I was running as a member of parliament in Mawakota South, Henry, I can confirm authoritatively with fear from God that people who came to bribe me to go out of the race and live for NRM candidates were opposition strongmen being used by the NRM.
Right.
That's direct. If they are not programmed, they know themselves.
Right.
That's one. So over time, I observed and I continue to observe the behavior of our opposition politicians. Comrade Martin Richard, where he is not able to get this first-hand experience with our opposition politicians. But let us look at the post-election, voting the speaker. Opposition is meant, those ones who, let me not use the word opposition, I even hate the word. Those who stand, those who believe to stand for the common person, who claim to stand for the common person, Literally, they are meant to build solidarity, to be trusted by the common person, but at the same time, to be trusted by those who are not common people. But look, when it came to voting the speaker, their solidarity with Rebecca Kadaga, a known serious cadre of the establishment, who even prided herself in removing the age limit, the only cap that we had to peacefully retire General Museveni to Rachtura. I'm a member of NUP. Yes, I'm a member of NUP. I'm one of the members who received the first 30 cards of NUP. By the time NUP came, I never wanted to associate with a party, but it was a party which had come from a political formation I belonged to. I trusted my leaders. I agreed. I followed in. But it was saddening for me to see NUP MPs jubilating to support Kadaga. The only MP of Jema was supporting Kadaga. We come from the same Busoga region, so we are supporting Kadaga. Someone we know is going to sell the country more. Okay? So these people are very dishonest, for starters. Henry, if I decided to really speak out what happened in my election and how it went where it went, it was the opposition people. Museveni and his team contributed, but we could defeat Museveni. Okay? We could defeat Museveni, but there is a lot of hypocrisy. There is a lot of double standard among the opposition people, yet they claim to fight being double standard. They want to come to the cameras and say we want to be united. When they leave the cameras, they work against that unity. I want to let the common people know this, that the opposition people work against unity when they are off cameras. You get? When they come on camera, they say, we want to get united. Wapi! Many of them are just yielding money, buildings from being in opposition. For us, the common people, we continue to suffer. We continue to cry. Just examine from the recent strike of doctors. The opposition actors, when did they join that cause to put up a call to government? And how much time, how much resources they gave in to make sure that healthcare is sorted, the doctors are supported, government listen to them, their issues are sorted, so that they can go back and treat their voters. Those are questions I'm throwing to the followers of this program, to Comrade Martin, as he engages the senior politicians, because I know he does. He's a senior citizen, is in a very high status. He should be able to tell these opposition people, the KBs of this world, the Bobuana of this world, need to hear this. Because the hypocrisy, for us, some of us, the common people, are tired. We are not willing to be into this. Senator Muchagulanyi Robert is president of the party I subscribe to, but things are not being done the right way. Things are not being done the right way. Okay? So we need to do things the right way. If they can't do things the right way, let them resign. Let them give way. Okay? We are tired of camera politics. Some of us, we are tired of camera politics.
Right.
We want a country that works for us as common Ugandans. We want a country that works for the borderman, a country that works for the farmer, a country that works for the teacher, for the doctor, for the patient in hospital.
Right.
But currently, the country seems to be working for only politicians. That's the truth. This country, Uganda, works for only the politicians. In the NRM, the politicians in opposition. Only a few of them in opposition are men for the people. When you line 100 of them there, I can confirm with good authority, 80 of them are crooks. They're not for the people. Only 20 are honesty about a Uganda that works for every Ugandan. So I speak this information to make sure the common people know. The NRM is 100% rotten, dead, deserves no space to lead us. But then these people in this side also, many of them want the camera alone.
Right.
Okay? They want the camera. They cannot speak. They cannot, okay, should I use they can't speak? They cannot act for the people. For us Ugandans, what we want is we want a good government. We want a government that will give us services of buweereza. Twagala buweereza mu ssente zaffe ez'omusozi ze tusasula. Niye tunaabugyawa nga ne betwesiga bali mu byabwe.
Right.
Before I never wanted to comment about Kayunga, because I don't want to amplify General Museveni's messages. But the man was putting up a message, the election, you can't touch me. But
Right.
the question is, did the opposition organize enough? Did they organize enough? Was there collaboration amongst them? Or they were fighting themselves internally? They were fighting themselves off camera and they were telling people they are united. That's the reality. You get? So some of us, Henry, let me tell you, are quiet, not because we don't want to participate, but we are hurting the fact that we are driving agendas that are not national of recent. Yet we want to drive national agendas.
Right.
Let me tell you, men in the 80s left university, left their jobs, went to the bush, got this country and ruled it for about 4 years, trying to put things right. They got greedy with power. Those who were around, the greedy people did not notice that they were greedy. Before they knew, they had been hoodwinked. They could not reverse the trajectory. You get?
Right.
So we don't want to go back into the same lane. That's why some of us will easily stop our participation.
Right.
Because we don't want to be fooled again. So what I'm trying to put across, I want to send a message to the opposition of this country. You are not doing enough. You are doing a lot of PR. You are overcrying. You are over-lamenting. The struggle is not for lamenters, not for crybabies. The struggle is for organizers. The struggle is for honesty people who get resources and put it the right use. Because this country local has people, even some who are in the interim, who want to change of government. But where are they going to put their resources?
Right.
Okay? When the people are building buildings in their money. When the people, you know, I don't want to speak a lot, but Ugandans, be vigilant, see what people are doing. We need a clear restart of a conversation about the leadership crisis of this country. Not just a conversation, but an action-packed conversation. We come up with a real front that is going to get us into power. And when I say us, I mean the common people. We are powerless. Constitution is no longer working. Okay, let me ask a question. Okay, when we win an LC3 position, so what?
Right. Or LC5. Or
Yeah, okay, LC5, so what?
Yeah.
So what? We need to bring table. My friend, I have a friend, Henry. I call him a brother. Sejemba Martin.
Right.
Is the chairperson, PG district, LC5 chairperson PG district. This is the person at least I started with activism. I went to his place, I told him, man, we go.
Right.
We started going. First time we went to the field to mobilize people to join People Power. We went in a taxi. We used to board taxis to go and mobilize. Let me tell you, Henry, I was a doctor. He was a geologist from Makerere University. We were boarding taxis to go and mobilize people to join People Power. We mobilized them. One time we met boys from Bunjako. One of them is called Isubuga. We kept spreading the gospel. We didn't have any intentions then. He didn't want to be chairperson. I didn't have any intentions to be MP. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
So Martin now is the chairperson in PG District LC5. And that was because those powers which be in the opposition didn't have interest in that position.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So they were able to allow us to get that. But when we got it, Martin, 3 days ago, he wrote letters I forwarded to you actually, Ssali. I don't know whether you can even retrieve them. What were they saying? He's in office, but the establishment has taken out all the resources from him. So he cannot serve us, his people, who come from Mpiji. They have taken away the fuel, they have taken away the allowances to his staff, they have taken away everything. The man is trouble. The people think he's going to serve them. But the people give to the central government taxes, the taxes have been taken away from Martin. So even that means LC5 offices are also not important for the struggle of making better governance in this country.
Yeah.
There is one organization, there is one arm of government which can decide change of government, but has been vulgarized. It has been made useless. That's Parliament. I made a case to my leaders at People Power. Why can't we focus and get our own people? And we get majority of Parliament, because Parliament level elections are easier to win, because my formation had chosen an election path. Okay? So as a person, member of a formation, usually in a democracy, majority decision should be respected. And you don't only respect it, you work towards fulfilling it. So we decided to go for election path. Of course, our friends in FDC should not say for them they didn't choose the election. When they fronted a presidential candidate, they fronted MPs, they fronted candidates at all positions you get. All of us in opposition were for election. That's the truth. Okay? That's the truth. So no one should point a finger that you say the elections work. FDC say the elections work. NUP say the elections work. DP say they work. Okay? And all other formations. Cabrera said they work because he also contested. Not
right,
so.
right. Yes. So by default, they kind of agreed to participate in a sham selection system.
You can't say you participated and you said you knew it doesn't work. Why were you participating? But going forward, back to the Chairman LC5 issue.
Right.
Chairman LC5 issue. My friend Martin cannot serve us because the junta regime, he knows he's a true man. Okay? The others, LC5 are serving because they have chosen to collaborate. Martin has refused to collaborate. Okay? That's why they are taking away everything from him to make sure he collaborates. Okay? Now, Inup MPs collaborated with Kadak. That was blasphemy. For me who believes in the Bible. Blasphemy. Right. Blasphemy. Is it blasphemy? You sound not an Englishman. Yes. I was born in the village. I didn't do kindergarten. I should say, I don't want to speak a lot of good English because that would be credit to the colonial masters. I don't want to feel that they have colonized me. I speak very good English. So I always like mixing it with Uganda. One of these days I want to learn Acholi. I want to learn a lot of Makole. so that I can also feel proud on them when I'm mixing Runyankore, mixing Swahili in their language.
Right. I'm
You get-
smiling, but I'm only smiling because everything you are saying is actually very heartbreaking.
Yes.
And these are things that we all see that are happening, but not working hard enough to ensure that we rectify these issues. Abaganda tulina olugero olugamba nti nno ekyonooneka nga ffenna tulaba tokinenyeza munno kubanga ffenna tuba tulaba nga kyonooneka okitegeera. So it's very unfortunate that your colleague Martin is unable to serve the people of Maokota because bamujeko emisolo gyonna. Of course, government does that to force them into collaborating. They did that to Mr. Lukwago for a couple of for so many years. They almost actually kicked him out of Kampala. Nenga tukomye, I want to give Mr. Byakuleka an opportunity to respond.
Let me finalize. On the parliament issue.
Right.
I was still saying that parliament, if we could get 50% of the parliament, it could be a very big starting point. Okay?
Right.
Which we had an opportunity, which probably we no longer have, I think.
I don't think we do have that opportunity anymore. That issue.
People just kept fighting themselves. If this was fighting, Nup was fighting Nup. They refused to unite. Yet they kept telling us they were uniting. Now, this is what happened. When some FDC candidate could come and give some money from, for example, Nup, that one they could collaborate with them. When a Nup candidate could give some FDC officers some money, then they could collaborate. You see that kind of nonsense. Corruption. You get?
Yeah.
Dishonest, double-sided, double standard, I mean. So this kind of nonsense is what has been happening. And for us, bantu bawansi, tulimbidwe ekimala, tusaba, twegayiridde, wabaga tufukamira abakulu. Omuntu wawansi akooye, omuntu wawansi ayagala gavumenti emukolera, abakulu bakwatagane mu bya ddala, si mu bya kamera. Bwemala okwatagana mu bya kamera, okay? Then awo tugenda kufuna obukulembeze obukolera buli munnayuganda. Njogeranga concerned Ugandan.
Right. Muwulidde omukulu ayogeranga concerned Uganda naye nga bwe tukomawo ngenda kusoma about there's a few comments from participants online. I'll be reading them to you and then I'll give Mr. Byakuleka an opportunity to respond.
This is the state of the nation. Rifa Mwanga. We are deliberate, we are reasonable, we are uncensored. The state of the nation with Henry Ssali.
All right. Welcome back, all of you. Dr. Mirembe, avako nadda. Byayogera biri very, very, very critical to this conversation. So I wouldn't be surprised if his internet is being interrupted deliberately. But he will be joining us shortly. People who are abatugoberera ku online mwebale kuba nti mutugoberera Nantale Farida agambye ntino see what they are telling us. They are telling us schools not paying any fees, but have 500 pupils with 6 teachers. We use these fees to get more staff to teach these learners. Everything is rotten. So I think she's an headmistress or she's a teacher in a school, and of course the premises or the terms that they're telling them to operate under are kind of complicated. So she thinks that everything is rotten. Nora blessed. Nora yagamba ntino. These are my thoughts on the doctors' strike. It is not justified if talks were had and terms agreed upon until the terms were violated. We need more light thrown on that and to and to its short time to be passed out. Why let the pot break at the door? The implications are grave at the individual level. It is, however, justified if there were no talks and the strike seeks attention of those in authority to. Oh my goodness, it's a very long submission. Nora, you're welcome to give us a call and state what your issues or your comment is. I'm not sure if you are on the side of the doctors or not, but he says that at the end of the day, be told it's about survival. I think that she's talking about politics. I think that's our thoughts about Kayunga, about the Kayunga issue. My thoughts: he who comes to justice must come with clean hands. If we want to remove a dictator, why play underhand moves to make NUP and opposition look just as bad as the one they want to remove? Those are good questions. I love those questions. I love these questions. Okay. Right. Okay. There you go. Yet Tony Almeida. Almeida. Yeah, Tony Almeida says that guys keep it up. Guys keep it up. Thank you so much. And we appreciate your insights into this conversation. Mr. Byakuleka, the platform is yours.
Yeah, as I said, I think today was a day for us to learn from Comrade Mirembe, Dr. Joel Mirembe, who has given us a lot of insight. But I would like to say that initially we have a problem back at home, which everybody knows, that we have a leadership which is working for its own interests and not interested in the welfare of Ugandans. It doesn't want to serve the public. But this problem has been complicated by the fact that not only does the regime suppress any activity by activists, but it has turned active, it has created an environment where the activists have become politicians. That is
Right.
the point I want people to underline very much. When an activist becomes a politician, we essentially have a problem. Now we are looking at a political environment in Uganda where we had very good political activists who, as we see in the past months, have slowly, whether willfully or forced, have become politicians. And that is very unfortunate, extremely unfortunate. But I can tell you that all hope is not lost because we still have an external environment, external constituents. This external constituency listens to genuine people like Dr. Mirembe and perceives the problem of the country. And we need people like Dr. Mirembe because they tell us the truth, because they are uncompromised, you see. So they let us know what exactly is going on. Now, the issue with the external environment is it's more genuine. It's more genuine because it lives in an environment of honesty. It's an environment of honesty. It's an environment where people mean what they say. When you bring our people who are tainted, because even us, when we come from Uganda and come in this external environment, we come with our mannerisms and practices from the domestic environment. But once we get here and we see how other people are behaving, and we intend to internalize the practices and behaviors and mannerisms of the people who have hosted us, we start to change. It's now very difficult to find a man who has been in America for 16 years and start asking him, I don't understand what you're talking about, man. I don't know. Probably that's why some of our people don't even like us, because we cannot speak that language any longer. Now, if I gave you funds when you were an activist, and we agreed that you are going to make change, and this is what you're going to do. If I see you now speaking like a politician, not an activist, I get a hiccup. I don't probably want to speak to you again. We have seen people who are very dishonest back at home in their politics. They tell us this is what they are pursuing, but people bring reports and say, no, actually, this is what they are doing. Now, this gives rise to another crop of actors. This is the crop of revolutionaries. The revolutionaries have formed. All they need now is to come together. Some are out, some are inside. All they need is a certain type of leadership to come together and ensure that they change the situation. So this is going to be the last chapter. And the problem of revolutionaries is that there's not much choice. They push, they don't negotiate, they push. But we have reached a level of operation where now we need to push out the thing and just restore order forcefully. And that's what's going to happen. Thank you so much. Are you muted?
Oh yeah, I was muted. Dr. Mirembe, as we wrap up this conversation, your response to Mr. Byakuleka and his thoughts about revolutionaries replacing politicians and ceasing to negotiate, because it seems, according to one of the Facebook posts I read from Honorable Bobby Wine, or Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Sentamu, he seems to have asked the people to come in and respond to what happened in Kayunga and do what they have to do as individuals, and just let the leadership guide, but not necessarily be trusted to lead the revolution. Your thoughts on that as we wrap up this conversation? And of course, I'm gonna have to wish you guys good luck with the industrial action as it unfolds to probably its last level.
Yeah, thank you very much, Henry. I'll start with the comments and suggestions, all call them instructions from the president of the National Inter Platform. Henry, there are reasons why people make us leaders or choose leaders. They expect their leaders to be up on the game than them. They expect clear, not masked instructions. They expect the leaders to listen to them and actually leaders do what the people have told them. The Ugandans spoke a long time ago. Anyone saying Ugandans have not spoken is lying. Because probably is not doing his part as well. So
we lost you there. We lost you with the certain things. We lost you. We lost you. Oh yeah. Okay. So we are losing Dr. Mirembe. Of course, he was making a submission regarding how leaders should respond, specifically responding to Honorable Robert Sentamu Kyagulanyi's submission to the population of Uganda regarding what happened in Kayunga. Of course, for those who are following what is going on in Uganda, Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi yatugambye tulina okukola bye tulina okukola in our own individual capacities. We must ensure that we do what we are supposed to do in our individual capacities to contribute to what should be a revolution in Uganda. Of course, what happened in Kayunga is despicable because the NUP candidate seems to have won that election by over 20,000 votes. But of course, the NRM candidate was announced as the winner, which is something that needs to be interrogated more. How do we respond to such acts? In 1980, when Mr. Museveni came in fourth, claimed that the votes were rigged, and therefore gave a justification for him going to the bushes or to the jungles of Uganda to fight back. He became a guerrilla warlord. Of course, he could have been arrested and put to jail for doing what he did, because what he did was not accepted by law. But he decided to become a rebel, and came back to dismantle the establishment at that time. In 1980, the votes were not explicitly rigged in the same manner that the Kayunga narrative happened. For those of you who are following the politics in Uganda, that is something that all Ugandans who are concerned about the state of affairs, political affairs in their country, should be concerned about and must do something about. But Dr. Mirembe, you are giving us your submission, so I'm going to give you that opportunity to continue.
Thank you very much, Henry. So now, going forward, I was saying that the Honorable Kyagulanyi, one, said we need a honest conversation. Two, he says everyone should do their part. Which part? People need to do activities that are synergistic, well-directed, sustainable. You know, when you wake up and you just make a noise, for example, you are hungry and you are alone, it reflects that the country is badly off, but it will not change, it will not move government. But when you are 1,000 people making noise that you are hungry, that will move government anyway. You get
right?
What I'm trying to say? If the leaders or those in limelight believe they can't do it alone, it's high time they stop the camera unity to serious unity. I've seen Mao attacking the Kyagulanyi and Nup. It's not called for. What is called for is these people who have given themselves the status of principle should be real principles, not name principles. By swallowing their egocentrism, by swallowing their pride, if they really mean anything sensible, tangible, reasonable, valuable for this country and the people in this country, they should swallow the pride, get on a round table, open the discussion, agree on a plan. Ugandans, we shall act. If they can't do that, the best thing they can do is to leave us alone.
Right.
We shall bring up our own leaders. But even when we attempt to bring new leaders, they will fight them. Because, you see, Honorable Kyagulanyi once sometimes said, they will fight any composition that threatens their position in the opposition.
Right.
They will fight in a composition that threatens their position in the opposition.
Do you think? Do you think that the NUP leadership is also becoming the same kind of fabric that was criticized during the people power movement?
Let me tell you, I'm not here to criticize them, but the truth is they are doing a lot of similar things that FDC was doing. Okay? There is a lot of backbiting. FDC, before it was FDC versus Democratic Party. Now it is NUP versus the FDC. Kwegamba. Tuli mukomera tuluwana. Okay? Tuli mukomera tuluwana n'abasibe bannaffe. Nonsense. We are supposed to be fighting to break the door of the prison such that we are all free, such that we can dig for ourselves, we get food, make roads and, but we are tied up in that nonsense. That's why you realize Kayunga had almost only NUP. Right. You get? Yeah. Yet before, when we are in people power, Kayunga would have had FDC, NUP, DP, that kind of solidarity has disappeared. Me, I'm just being honest. We need to go back to status people power. Right. That's when probably we shall work together. But when we go there, we want to first tell the politicians, leading politicians, camera unity, twamukoye, twagala unity yaddala. Nga tutambulira wamu, ngaba na Uganda. We want to call upon people, comrades in the NRM, who know the truth, to also come up. But we need not any unit of
cosmetic unity.
Thank you. For you, are English man. You're not like me. Cosmetic unity. Very dangerous. Detrimental. It has killed people. Young, innocent souls have died because of cosmetic unity. Okay? We don't want any more people to die because of that. Then, lastly, by default that I was designated leader of professionals, wing, when I was in people power, I must tell you that works. That department can change this government. But has it been exploited? Has it been explored? Have resources been allocated there? Except symbolism of a position. No. Now I'm speaking the reality. No. We respect, like this government doesn't respect professionals. The opposition does the same. Once professionals wants to exploit them for camera politics. When it comes to serious things which happened in Sudan, they don't want. Serious things which happened in Egypt. Our professionals, we have had numerous opportunities in this country, but have they been exploited? People just want to posture. Nze mutabani wa Nalubega, owebukunge, muzukulu wa Gabunga, atudde eri wali ebuwaya empigi. I'm out of posturing politics. We should be clear whether we want positions in the NRM government. You get? We are able to win these MP seats. We are able to win the councillor seats. This very fact that Museveni used Kayunga to put a statement is the alpha and omega of the politics. But we can change that if we decide to on a serious note. But this thing of camera, posturing, lamenting, crying, will not change a thing. We shall just use it to get a few monies from Comrade Richard Byakuleka, from the donors from outside. Then the opposition gets a budget from government, that money given to a political party. Some comrades will win positions, councillor, MP. We shall continue to do more of the same till Christ comes back if we don't stop the hypocrisy of camera politics. I beg to submit.
Thank you so much.
my country.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mirembe. Mr. Byakuleka, as we wrap up this conversation, your final thoughts and what Ugandans should do, really. There's I think Dr. Mirembe has been very honest, very candid in his submissions, both with what is happening in the medical fraternity, the healthcare system in Uganda, but also some of the dynamics that are happening within the opposition sections. Mr. Byakuleka, as you wrap up, I think you're having the last word on this conversation. How do we proceed?
All right, let me give you my final submission. In fact, I was supposed to have gone 15 minutes ago, so I'm late, but it's bad manners to leave without saying bye to your listeners and viewers. So I have only 3 minutes, and let me say this. I would like to sincerely express my appreciation for Dr. Mirembe for having candidly given us a preview of what is going on inside the country. And I am henceforth, because I'm guilty of not having been in touch with him recently, we have our channels. I'll get back to him and I get an update on some of these issues. But as I said, there's a lot of dishonesty amongst our politicians. And part of the reason that the country has not obtained freedom and what it needs of good governance is this kind of dishonesty. Because we have seen some of our Ugandan friends not being honest to the people that they lead. Of course, the leading party is not honest to the people, but it is blasphemous, as my friend said again, for people in the opposition to lie to Ugandans who have a lot of hope in them. In fact, such things are inexcusable. That's what has brought me to saying that it looks like we are going to get very soon to that chapter of revolutionaries, because once things start happening the way they happen now, this is when revolutionaries step in. And when revolutionaries come, they don't only punish the vagabonds in power, but they also punish those people who pretend to be with the people when they are actually exploiting them. And I'm very worried about that. But that is what is going to happen. You are going to see not only the enemy being punished, but you are going to see the fake opposition also being equally punished. And when you see those things, you know that the revolution has begun, because that's what revolutionaries do. But on the final note, I should hasten to say that, please, fellow Ugandans, do not lose hope. There are those people who had probably stepped aside and said, you know what? There are a lot of people who can do this. Let them do it. But a time comes when things start to fail sometimes. And then other people have to, be forced to step in and do something. Except that as more people come in to do the thing in their own terms, the matter of participation, democratic participation, takes a back seat. Now, we did not want to repeat the experience of Musevenism with less democracy, but with the creeping and overbearing indiscipline amongst our politicians and some activists. Therefore, revolutionaries are going to come, but do not expect a lot of democracy from revolutionaries. They issue directions, except that they get the work done, especially when they are nationalists. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Dr. Mirembe will be in touch. And Henry Ssali, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Byakuleka. Thank you so much, Dr. Mirembe, for teaching the nation. This is the state of the nation. My name is Henry Ssali. We come here to deliberate, to talk about issues that affect our brothers and sisters back home in Uganda. We talk about these things honestly because we love our country and we hope that people out there can pick a leaf and start having these dinner table conversations as you go into the holidays. Christmas is next weekend. While on your dinner tables, talk about your country candidly. The same way we have had this candid conversation with Dr. Mirembe and Mr. Byakuleka. Yogera konsiyo chichiddala chichiba chichusa tugenda chichusa tutya. Also for all the people who have been exonerating Dr. Badru Chigundu, calling him better than the current electoral commissioner, I would like to challenge you to actually keep Mr. Chigundu as accountable as you're trying to keep Mr. Byabakama accountable. Mr. Chigundu, if anything, is worse than Mr. Byabakama because he set the ball rolling to where we are right now. Mr. Dr. Chigundu, Badru Chigundu, is someone who had the credibility to have said the truth and refused to do so. So if we are going to crucify Mr. Byabakama, we should crucify Mr. Dr. Chigundu in the same manner and capacity.
Well, he's the trainer, architect show Byabakama.
Exactly, he's the trainer, he's Byabakama's trainer. So yeah, for sure. Tewali go to exonerating buli muntu yenna akoledde mwami Museveni namukolera ebintu ebikyamu. Bonna they're in the same boat. We blame them equally. Thank you so much for following us. This is the State of the Nation. My name is Ssali for the African Alumni Association.
This is the State of the Nation. Rifa Mubanga. We are deliberate, we are reasonable, we are uncensored. The State of the Nation with Ssali.